Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Redefine Your Life. We just want to thank you so much for being here with us, and we are very excited to be here with you on this glorious full moon in Leo. And we would like to start a quick story about how Faith and I had similar yet different experiences this morning, waking up and starting to have the anxiety of the day threatened to take control. So this morning I woke up to the rain and I felt it was very soothing, and I kind of rolled over and could hear those nice little drops and was like, oh, what a lovely day. It's going to rain today. That's okay. I have stuff I got to do and it's going to be a good day. And I looked at my phone only to realize that I had slept in a little bit later than I had wanted to, and immediately felt my brain go to, oh my gosh, you have so much to do today. You better get up and get to it and just go, go, go. And I could feel that anxiety just creeping up and just starting to get the crazy train going in my brain. And I had to stop it by realizing that that was a red flag for me. As soon as I woke up, I started like picking at my fingers, and I felt like I was getting a little clammy, like almost like a little sweaty, like anxious sweats and stuff like that. And even though it was mild, because I have been trying to listen to when I get overwhelmed and stuff like that, I have noticed when I feel overwhelmed, those are my signs. Instead of being like, okay, I need to get up right now and get to it and rush, I told myself, um, I will get all the things done that I need to get done today. And I reminded myself with some affirmations that everything that I need to get done will get done in its own time as it needs to. And I repeated that in my head a couple of times while I was kind of sitting there, just like trying to bring myself back to the present moment and realize that rest is so good for me, and getting a good sleep and not waking up, maybe sleeping through an alarm or not waking up early like I thought I needed to get everything done in that day. The actual thing that I needed was to allow myself to rest so that I wake up full of energy, and reminding myself that everything happens in the time that it needs to, in the time that it should. And although we feel a lot of pressure on getting things done with certain expectations associated with the timeline of how they get done, sometimes we have to let go of that and bring ourselves back to the things that we can control in the situation, which for me, I felt like I was losing control of the amount of time that I had to do the things that I have to do. But really, what I was losing control of was my thought patterns associated with time and associated with my stress around my to-do list and feeling overwhelmed. And when I was feeling overwhelmed, it led to me having uh, the reaction of, you know, freak out and stress, when that's not the reaction that I want to have when I have things to do. I want to approach my to-do list with a calm and a peaceful mindset. So I used kind of affirmations to myself to try to bring myself back, but I also felt like I needed to talk to someone. So this morning I talked with my partner, like communicating about my feelings and about my feelings around time and around the thing that I felt like I couldn't control, helped to bring my awareness back even further towards this subject. And once you have come down from the overwhelm of whatever it is that you felt these intense feelings around, and the things that you feel you can't control, and all the emotions that came up when you felt like you were losing control, and how to kind of bring it back a little bit. So if you'd like to share your story and kind of what you started, where it started, where you realized that the red flag, or like when you realized that you were kind of losing control of your own mind, and then what you did to bring yourself back from that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I woke up this morning at about 9:30. Also, very happy to see that it was raining outside, and I was like, "Ah, yes, a cloudy day." But oh no, 9:30. I'm already late to get my day moving because today was my only day off this week, and I was like, "Oh man, I got so much I got to do today, and I'm already behind schedule." So automatically, as soon as I woke up, I was like, "Ah." And I've been in kind of a funky mindset for a few weeks now, and I've been trying to reel myself back in from that, and the morning that I had did not make anything better. I was excited though. I still tried to get up and make it a good day. So I went downstairs and I made some homemade granola. I burnt the granola. A little sad about that, but I was like, you know what? It's fine. It's okay. We're still going to keep moving. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make myself some coffee. Coffee always cheers me up, gives me some energy, gets me moving. So I go to pull out some coffee, out of coffee. That's fine. Moving on. We'll just make some tea instead. So I've got my tea here with me. And so I went to go set up the crock pot to make dinner tonight, and everything went well with the crock pot, thank God, until I turned around and I saw my dog shit on the floor. My very fully potty trained dog just shit on the floor. So I was like, all right, that was the moment for me where I was like, I'm about to spiral. I'm about to spiral, but it's okay. So I just hurried up and I got him outside, and then I turned around, and then my sink the past couple weeks has been turning on by itself. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. So I don't know if that's a spooky thing or just we need to get a new sink attachment thing. So I looked over at that and I was like, oh great. And now here's the goddamn sink again. And that was when Julia called me and I was like, oh, thank God, because I know that Julia is my accountability partner and she's about to make me realize that everything's going to be okay. Existential dread is so hard for me when it comes to the things that I can't control. So when Julia was giving me, the therapy and the advice and helping me deal with everything that was going on, I remembered what I was told the first time that I went to therapy.
All these things kind of kept happening that were they were just kind of life things, like you can't control your dog sometimes having a whatever they have with their bellies, like who knows what actually caused that for your puppy or whatever. But sometimes the causes don't really matter. It's the effect. How did it leave you feeling? It left you feeling crazy, I'm sure, and from there, you could have freaked out, and if I hadn't called you, who's to know how your day would have gone? Or if I hadn't called you, what would you have done? Would you have you in that situation to fully bring yourself into a place where you can deal with the crap that you were feeling, like the crappy emotions and everything that was strung to the emotional response to how your day was going?
Honestly, I was already planning on if you didn't call me here within the next 10 minutes, I was going to be phoning you. Because you always know what to say that makes me feel better. And that is my favorite thing. I love that I have somebody that I can go to that can give me that sense of rationalization that like, look, it's not that big of a deal. It's just life.
Mm-hmm.
Remember this and things will get better. So I thank you for being there for me throughout all of that. But like another thing that if I didn't feel like I could call you, I would
Mm-hmm.
have just sat down at the table and I would have done a breathing exercise and I would have just tried to get myself to a place of calm. And it is very hard for me to let go. So, one of the things that you reminded me of was what I learned in therapy, which is called a control circle.
Mm.
And this control circle is you just draw a big circle and you write in the middle of it things that I can control. And then you write all the things that you can control inside of the circle. And then outside, you write down the things that you can't control, that you have no say over. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you a little example of mine that I have half started here.
So one of the things in your control diagram, I hope, is your mindset. And my out of control thing is like time or whatever it is that I feel like is out of control. And for you, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's in your out of control. But if I wanted, maybe we could try to focus on less about what we can't control, because we can accept the fact that we can't control those things and not even waste energy focusing on the fact that we can't control those things, and instead just immediately turn our attention to the things that we can control. So I think it's good to draw the diagram
Yes,
so that you can visually see and compartmentalize in your brain and actually dissect, like, what are the things that are out of your control, so that you can take those from your brain and put them to the paper and then leave them on the paper. They don't need to be in your
exactly.
brain anymore, right? Like at that point, when you have come to this step in the process, write it down on the paper and leave it there. And then let's look at the circle in the center and focus on one of the things, or maybe a couple of the things that you can control. And let's put some of that into action. So some of the
Absolutely.
things that you can control, yeah, right, are your mindset. And your mindset, I mean, in the sense of, you might not be able to control your emotions and your emotional response, but you can control how you react and what you do forward of those responses and of those reactions. So if, for example, like, when you were having this morning, you were feeling overwhelmed. I asked you, well, my first question to you was, well, what are you feeling overwhelmed about? Let's talk about if some of the things that you're feeling overwhelmed about are in your control circle, or your it is what it is bubble, and that's in that like life bubble of shit that just happens that you have no control over. And immediately we can start to take away some of the pressure that you were feeling, or at least it felt like during our conversation that it took away some of the pressure that you were feeling, because you were allowing your mind to separate and distinguish between the anxiety that you feel about the things that you can control versus the things that you can't, and release any emotional connection to the things that you can't control. Because by doing that, you have to remind yourself, in order to do that, you have to remind yourself that you can't control those things, but you can control other things. And that's how it helps you let go of them, because you're letting go of the frustration and the emotional, I guess, just, I don't know what you want to call that, the upset, the stress, the anger. Anger, you might be angry at your dog, but at the end of the day, you're mad about something that you couldn't control. So at that
Mhm.
point, it's like one of those things where I might just kind of laugh it off. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You
Yeah,
just shit on my
right?
floor. Like, what? And like, I tend to get like my high voice when there's just something unbelievable. Like my voice goes up like 12 octaves. I'm like, what? What? Like, no, that can't be right. And it's just like, immediately, if I'm noticing in myself that my voice is going up 10 octaves, I'm like, okay, I'm approaching something that I disbelieve. Do I really disbelieve that my dog could crap on the floor? No, he's very capable of doing that, right? So, okay, what can I do about this? Well, I guess I can throw the shit outside, like, and I can try to see what happened to my dog and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, all you can really do is move on from it, right?
Mhm.
Because it was
Right.
in your bubble of no control. So instead of dwelling on the fact that you can't do anything about the fact that your dog pooped on the floor, let's do something about it, right? Let's do something productive about it. Maybe not punish him necessarily, but take him outside, let him do his business. Do something actionable to resolve the problem. And then from there, now you have a funny story. So from there, maybe just finding a silver lining, or finding something. I remember that was just the dog example, if we want to use just that one, so we don't, take up too much time with examples. But from there, I think you started to realize some of the other things that you were feeling emotionally frustrated, angry, upset about were also things in that uncontrolled circle. So you started to actually realize, like, oh, okay. And from there, instead of asking you, of course, it was important that we talked about what you felt about those things, but now we came to the resolution of, what can we learn from these situations of things that just happened out of your control? And how can we apply what you learned from those situations to make this situation either easier to manage in the future, or avoidable, or in some way, some sort of action that you can apply or learn from the situation to help you in the future. So using it as a resource and as a learning opportunity, and as an opportunity maybe for a funny story. In some way, this experience that happened to you is now in the past. That's the other thing. After these things happen to you that are out of your control, we dwell on them as if they're currently happening in the present, which sometimes that very well might be the case. Sometimes there might be something currently happening to you that is out of your control, right?
Yeah. I actually have the past and the future and my things that are in the non-circle of control. And then what I just wrote down while you were talking about this stuff is, in the circle of control, I can control that I can see other angles and viewpoints of my situation. I can control whether I let go or move on from something that happened to me, like my morning. I'm choosing not to dwell on it. And then
Mhm.
another thing would be my reactions, how I react to situations like that, like being able to just take a breath and laugh it off. That's my favorite
Mhm.
piece of advice to give to someone who's struggling with feeling overwhelmed.
Like, and then if you were to see this online and you were to see somebody else, I'm sure somebody makes a TikTok of something like this moment where they're like, great morning, where my dog just took a shit. Like, right, you know what I mean? And people find so much humor online for other people's problems. You got to remember that you can do that for your own shit too, pun intended. So you can definitely find a way to dramatically decrease the amount of upset that you feel from these situations and instead redirect yourself to be like, okay, well, this happened. Let's accept it. I could fight it, but I feel like shitty life situations are kind of like dealing with grieving. Like, you have to accept it. Now
Yeah.
let's see what we can do from this situation and move on from it and leave it in the past. Sure, learn from it and maybe just like honor the fact that you have emotional responses and that's being human. Part of being
Mhm.
human is reacting to things, but also part of being human is learning from those things and taking something
Exactly.
away from the situation that will hopefully make it the next time that you come across a situation like this, you take action with more grace and you actually might be proud of yourself and how you
And
respond to
maybe
those
don't yell at
situations.
the sink.
I mean, yell at the sink, let it out. Like, let it out. Definitely better to yell at inanimate objects than your animals.
Yeah. As soon as the sink turned on, I was just like, "Are you kidding me?"
Well, we have to take responsibility for our actions as well, because how many
Yeah.
times has somebody blamed something happening out of their control for the actions that they took that were very much in their control? So
Yeah.
we have to take responsibility
Mhm.
for the fact that as much as things happen that are out of our control, how we choose to respond to that is 100% in our control.
Absolutely.
So
My reactions.
So sometimes it's good to realize these things because then you can get better at almost like damage control with your responses to things. Sometimes we cause more harm from situations that we can't control, and that's actually how you learn to navigate life with grace, is by learning from these situations and realizing that it's very human to have emotional responses from them, but where you can find the growth and the ability to see change in your life, you'll see the changes when you change your reaction, when you modify that to be something that is more in alignment with what your actual, how you want your day to go. If you want your day to go well and things keep happening out of your control that are pushing you towards a not well day, or like trying to get you to react, but each obstacle that it throws at you, instead of you getting more and more upset about it, you're kind of just like, this is just the day I'm having. Like, you're still going to have a good day at the end of the day, because how you're viewing that mentally and how you're taking on each of those things and choosing to react is how your day's going to go.
Yeah.
So as much as the shitty situations that happen to you can cause a reaction, which can cause you to feel like you're having a bad day, you can also choose to have those different things that happen mean something else. You don't have to dwell on them in the fact that you make it the rest of your day. My dog shit on my rug today, and so I'm having a shitty rug day. Like, this is my day today, and claiming that as your day. Claim what you want to be your day. If you want to have a good day, be like, today is just like a toss up kind of day. Like, things are
Yeah.
happening, but my superpower today is that I'm navigating them with peace and contentment in the fact that this is my life today, and acceptance, surrendering to that and accepting it.
That is everything that the Leo moon is all about. So that's perfect.
And I
That's
love
Leo
that
energy.
this is going to be posted tomorrow, so there will still be some Leo moon energy in the air, because the moon has that, yummy yum energy going for like 48 hours before and after the moon, and
Mm-hmm.
everything, or so the astrologists say. So I wanted to briefly just bring into your awareness is that you don't have to do with the shit alone. Definitely phone a friend when you're having a crap day. That's why I was trying to get at, Faith. I was trying to get at, like, as soon as you're having a shit day, you can have this conversation with somebody, it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be alone. I had the conversation with myself in my head, but that's because I've been working on this for a long time. I've been working on redirecting my thought pattern, and I've been working on being independent in doing that, which takes time and it takes practice, and it sure as
Yeah.
shit does not happen good every day. So some days, most days, I definitely don't do this by myself. I do this with the help of someone else. And that's like, oh, well, I am giving you, the sympathy that you're a human being living a very human experience. What did you learn from your shitty experience today? What did that
Exactly.
tell you? And that's, if you ever come to me with this type of thing, that's where I'm going to come at you. So it sounds like you've been having a really overwhelming day. Let's break that down. Why do you feel
Exactly.
overwhelmed? Right? Like, why do you feel overwhelmed? What is going on? Let's talk about it. Yes, let's get into the dirt of what happened, because that's relevant. What happened is relevant, but it's not any more relevant than what you're going to do about it. It's just part
Mhm.
of it. Hmm.
Remember the things you can and can't control.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes the diagram, like you showed us, the visual tool is helpful to let your brain know that there's a difference in stressing about the things that you can't control. There's a difference in that type of stress and worry and like thinking about, and there is it's more beneficial for you to focus on, use your energy to do things that you can control, and to use your intention behind your actions to speak greater than whatever it is, the thing that happened to you. Let
Yeah.
your after effect and your reaction speak for how your day is going to go, not the actual thing that was out of your control.
I love that.
Yeah, I
That
think
was very well spoke.
my other thing, if you're like kind of alone and you're feeling overwhelmed about this and you don't have somebody to talk to, which you could talk to a friend, a family member, a dog, shit, you could write in a
Oh my
journal
gosh, yeah.
and
Your
have this
animals.
conversation with yourself, or just with us. Like, if you're watching this and
Mhm.
you're having that problem, like, listen to what I said. Why do you feel that? Pause the video, go through that with yourself. Okay, well, why was I feeling that? And have a dialogue with yourself, and pretend like
Mhm.
you're talking to one of us, pretend like you're talking to us. And
Absolutely.
why is
Or
that,
reach out.
yeah, or reach out if you want to actually talk with us.
Yeah. Like we are here. We are real people.
That's a very great point. Reach out. Yeah. You don't have to have it just over the computer, but and if you don't feel like you have somebody and you feel like you do want to try to do it by yourself, you can go into a mindful space, and you can maybe burn some sage or do whatever it is that you do to feel calm. I burn sage, I smell different aromatherapies, I have different incense, essential oils, all that good stuff.
Take a
Or you
nice
might like,
bath.
yeah, for you, it might be like the eucalyptus in your tea or the coffee smell or something it is that brings you back into a more peaceful mindset. Even if it is listening to a meditation, maybe doing like a Reiki thing online or whatever it is to bring you to a more relaxed and peaceful place, so that you can
Mhm.
start to ask those questions of why in a less high energetic state, so in a more neutral energetic state, so that you can ask questions about why this is bothering you and what is going on, and try to figure out what your emotions are trying to tell you.
And if you're into the more woo-woo side of things like I am, there's always the option, ask your spirit guides, ask your tarot cards. Those are things that you can get an answer easily out of.
They're going to give you good questions to ask yourself. So if
Mhm.
you're struggling with okay, well, what Julia said wasn't specific enough, refer to your guides, refer to your
Yeah.
cards, and see what your cards, when you draw a card and it asks you a question or it has an affirmation and you don't align with that, or you're wondering about that, think about it more and think about why it is you feel what that question could be bringing up, and what that might bring up for you. And that might help you. Those questions with cards and stuff might help you figure out some of that why and some of that what you can do about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I love that.
absolutely.
That's beautiful. So yeah, so thank you so much for joining us. Recognize when you have, I hope this helps you recognize when you have these intense feelings, that it might be overwhelming and it might feel like too much, but honor that you're a human being and you feel because you're supposed to feel, and it's going to help you learn something. It's going to hopefully not be the catalyst of a bad day, but it's going to be the catalyst of a good day, because it's going to help you strengthen your willpower and your mental power to take control of what the actions that you can, and to let go of, and to not dwell, and to not focus on the things that you cannot control, and to learn how to live in harmony with the things that you can't control and the things that you can, and how you can respond or how you can react to the responses and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And we hope to see you soon. Have a blessed full moon. Sending you lots of love. Send us any questions or any aha moments or anything that you felt you took away from it. We love to hear that kind of feedback. And if you need a friend or somebody to listen to or bounce ideas off of, you can go to Instagram. They have those voice channel things. Like, I think as long as you're following us, they can send us voice memos. So yeah,
Well, that's cool. Guys,
right.
do that.
Yeah, let us know how you're feeling. We want to hear from you. We want to hear how you're transitioning your day from the chaos that's kind of around you and finding peace in that chaos.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys.